You know, the first car I had was a Rabbit, and man, it didn't have no dual exhaust, you understand. But as time moved on, I got me a black Ford F-150. Man, it had a big block in there, early 70s model. And guess what it had on it? It had them dual exhausts. And them dudes, as my uncle might say, them dudes be talking, nephew. They be talking. And that this the duality of it, of coming, and you put headers on that thing. You had headers on it. So here you are, the exhaust manifold, and here you are coming with the headers so the engine can breathe and talk a little bit. You know, and so then you have two pipes coming out the back. And you know, back in the day, they would do it and not put no mufflers on there. Straight pipe. You know, one of our great clients, Clint Steindorf, has some dual exhaust. I won't say if it's straight pipe or muffler, but that's another story. But the point is, them dudes be talking, man. And so when we talk about automobiles and we talk about cars and we talk about performance, man, we all want dual exhaust. I don't care who's the builder. If it's a who's who builder, it's a serious shop. They're building you a custom muscle car. Maybe they're restoring your truck and they're putting some performance in there. You know, nothing says performance like dual exhaust. You know, and the old school Flowmasters have become so ubiquitous. They're everywhere that we've stopped putting them on cars. You know, we do the HP2s, you know, and we like the HP2s because it's a different sound. But we still got to have that Flowmaster. You know, I think about the Mustang. I bought a Mustang here a few years back. My kids said I never should have sold it. You know why I bought that Mustang? Man, that Mustang got a rumble. Now, I take Corvette over Mustang any day, but boy, I'm talking about that Mustang talk to you. That Mustang has a rumble that is just, I mean, it'd make a grown man blush type of rumble. You're talking about a dual experience when it comes to driving a car, a duality of experience when it comes to driving a car. Now, somebody listen to me out there. You know what I'm talking about. Big block Chevy, dual exhaust. What about old big block Ford, dual exhaust? What about a small block 350, dual exhaust, you know? And what about when you take that idle? Now, you got dual exhaust, may not have a cam in there, but let's say you got a cam and you can hear the interloping of the cam. And then you turn that idle down to where the car is almost out of breath, can't hardly breathe, and it just starts to lope on you a little bit. And you hear them dudes talking to you. I mean, it's something, man. Sometimes you get in an old truck and with dual, you drive up to the gas station and you just leave it in idle while it's in park and pump the gas, and everybody stop and say, oh, you got that old school sounding good, school. The duality. In most situations, especially as it pertains to an automobile, a duality of exhaust is very important, where each side of that engine has its own experience. It's coming from the top and it's going all the way out. It has a dual experience. And if the muffler is stopped on one side, yes, it's going to affect the engine, but it really hinders flow on that side of the engine. In America, there's a duality. In America, there's a dual experience. And so for some of my car people out there, you understand what I'm talking about. Hey, remember the 48 Hours movie with Eddie Murphy? I don't know if y'all remember that movie, but for those who don't, so in this movie, Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte are some bad, wise guy cops. And you know, Eddie Murphy is a comedian, so it's a funny movie. And Eddie Murphy, if I'm not mistaken, is from one city and is trying to investigate in another city. And so the cops of that city are kind of tailing and following Eddie Murphy, his character in this movie. And so Eddie wants to get away. So what he does, he take a banana and he stick it in the tailpipe. And he drives off and he looks at them and he waves while they're staking him out. Police staking out police. And so they crank up and they get ready to go, and they try to find out what's going on. Well, you know, it takes three things to make the combustible engine run. takes what? It takes spark, it takes fuel, and it takes what? It takes air. So they took the air away from the car, and let's say they had dual exhaust and they only put the banana in one of them, they still would have problems. This duality of experience that we have in America, we don't run a dual system. It's a duality of experience, and it's a grave concern. Now, I'm going to start off, and I'm going to go ahead and get my disclaimers out the way, so those who want to get offended and all of that kind of stuff, and those who want to debate and question, you know, I like to do that too. Just inbox me. Anything you want to say that you think may be a little inflammatory, inbox me, and I normally don't check Facebook and all that stuff. That's my staff that does all of that. But I will personally look at that stuff today and seek to respond. But I have a responsibility as a believer to share this duality of experience in America. And there is a duality. Now, and then that duality is filled with false stereotypes of each other. You know, all white folks bad. Now, I heard a lot of people say, hallelujah, praise the Lord. Hey, man, there's a lot of good white folks out there. The overwhelming majority is good white folks. Well, you know, all black folks thugs and troublemakers and all that kind of stuff. That's stereotype. But there's a lot of, in my family, there's a lot of, I'm not saying I'm included in there, but there's a whole lot of them never been in trouble before. Never toted a pistol before. Never got shot before. Never did deals with the mob before. Never been on the other side of the law. Never had an aggression in them. Just good, educated folk. They love their community. They love their country. They love their church. They love Christ. They love their family. Have never been in trouble day in their life. And but there's this duality of experience I want to talk about this morning. But I want to give you a scripture so that we have some framework for where I'm going and what I'm saying. Is anybody with me? Look at here now. I'm in Romans chapter 13, verse 1 through 5. Now, I want you to hear me out. Now, this is a verse that's in the Bible. And the Bible is not a buffet. The Bible is not a tool that we pick what we want to eat. You got to eat all of the Bible. And sometimes we take out of context because we're under a New Testament that we'll go to the Old Testament, pick out one of the Levitical laws that does not apply to us since the Jesus on the cross, him crucified and resurrected again. So we get out of social context, the dispensation of how God is moved. But this is the New Testament. And so I want to look at this text. But this text has been abused. It has throughout this country. It has been misapplied. We're talking about taskmasters have used it. Abusive employers have used it. Harsh legislators have used it. Slave masters have used it. But it's still in the Bible. And it is still a truth. So this dichotomy of experience. I want to talk about that a little bit today. I hope you stay with me. I think it's going to be a really powerful and therapeutic moment and insight for all of us to share. I'm going to reference my life, and I'm going to talk about my personal experience. This conversation is not about me. I'll say that again. This conversation is not about me. And this conversation is not even about George Floyd today. This conversation is about a broken experience. And that the experience is a duality. And unless you're going to change both of the mufflers on the car, ain't no need to change one. And right now the experience is broken. But we can fix it. It's going to take good white folk, good black folk, good Asian folk, good Latin folk. It's going to take all of America to fix this broken experience of a duality of experience. Now, if I reference anything that you feel highlights an institution, anything that highlights you personally, I'm talking about my life. I'm talking about my experience. I'm talking about my story, and I will use my name and sign my name to everything I say. But I will purposefully I'm not making up any stories, but I will go out of my way to try to not mention specifics of another person's name as I share my experience. Because I want, and that my experience is going to talk about good white folks that I've dealt with, but it's going to talk about some bad white folks too. And it's going to talk about good black folks, and it's going to talk about some bad black folks. But it's going to talk about a real human experience. Let's get some scripture context. All right, I'm in 13, Romans. Let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. The authorities that exist have been established by God. The word can be tough sometimes. Consequently, whoever rebels against the authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and those who do so will bring judgment on themselves. Now, I can hear some individuals in my spirit on one side jumping up for joy. Yeah, get them. And I hear some other people on the other side saying, I know you're not finna do this. Stay with me. For rulers hold no terror for those who do right, but for those who do wrong. Do you want to be free from fear of the one in authority? Then do what is right, and you will be commended. For the one in authority is God's servant. Now, just so you know, I'm going to spend some time on 3 and 4. For the one in authority is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for rulers do not bear the sword for no reason. They are God's servants. Now, that servant is a powerful word. Y'all go, come on now. I'm going to work with this a little bit. Agents of wrath to bring punishment on the wrongdoer. Therefore, it is necessary to submit to the authorities, and not only because of possible punishment, but also as a matter of conscience. 4, for the one in authority is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for rulers do not bear the sword for no reason. They are God's servants, agents of wrath to bring punishment on the wrongdoer. This officer in Minnesota was not a servant of God. Now, the devil, if I take you back for a moment in theological truth, the devil was a wonderful angel of God's bidding, was an angel that was created by the Almighty that chose to usurp the authority of God, went from being a servant of God to having enmity with God. And what did God do? God cast him out of the kingdom. Same thing here. The government, the organizational structure, you know, everything good and perfect comes from God anyway. And so this government, this human experience in America that we have, I certainly believe God's hand is upon this. I believe God's hand is a part of this legislative and this Constitution of America. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But there are at times, just as the devil, an angel, a servant of God, chose to sing his own glory and not sing God's glory, there are agents. If God, who is God all by himself, can have a rogue actor that had to be dealt with swiftly, certainly a government that sits under God can have a rogue actor that no longer operates as a servant of the people, and that should also be dealt with swiftly. Now, if we go back in theological terms, I don't care if you're a conservative or if you're a progressive when it comes to your theology. You would agree with me that Satan ain't messed up at one time. God ain't give him no second chance. The only vessel of the creation that understands grace is who? Is you and I. See, he only allows grace and mercy for us, the created. But for that angel who was deputized and who was commissioned to continually and perpetually do God's business, he chose not to do it. He was dealt with swiftly, and he came out of heaven like a streak of lightning. In this country, there's a duality of experience. The problem is that there is no equitable justice. There's no equitable mercy. There's no equitable grace. Y'all still with me? I use as a text Hebrews 11:1, and we're going somewhere. This ain't the preacher beat you up message. This ain't the guy that has X amount of followers online and now you want to use your platform to beat folk up. That's not what this is about. This message has an end. This message has a objective. This message has a goal, and the goal is that you and I can start the process of change. You and I can ensure that the duality of experience operates as one. That the muffler on the right side works just as well as the muffler on the left side. That the pipe coming out on the right side of that big block is the same one coming out the left side. Why would you keep stock manifolds on one side of your engine and put headers on the other side of the engine? Why would you put cheap Hedman headers on one side and put high-end ceramic coating headers on the other side? It doesn't make sense. So for this duality of a single experience to work, we must take care of both sides of this thing. And if we take care of both sides of this thing, we won't keep having the problems with the automobile of our human experience together in this that we call America. We just come from a pandemic where God allowed us all to see that we are the same. Black man gets sick just like a white man gets sick. Even though there's a higher percentage of individuals in the African American experience dying from this, all of us are getting sick. All of us are subject to it. And look here, this thing could change on a dime. It could be the majority of black folk dying from it today, and in a few months from now, it could be a majority of white folk dying from it. See, God still sits high, looks low, and is intimately involved in the affairs of his people. But we have to be concerned with this unequitable justice. My human experience of this duality of experience. Some know my audience today that are listening, you're either family and friends on one side, you're either car-loving people. You like your cars, you love your cars, and that's what we have in common. That's the shared affinity that we have. On the other side, maybe you're a horseman, and so we share that equestrian love. Yesterday, my family and I, we went out, and I look bad. I just had on an old T-shirt. It happened to be City Classic Cars, and I had that T-shirt on. And I had on some jogging pants and some house shoes. You know, I wasn't going that far. And I left, and then we ended up going a little bit further than I wanted to go. And my wife says, they're going to recognize you when you're going. I said, they're not going to recognize me. These folk not going to recognize me. I got in the truck. I parked my truck, leave my family in the car, put my mask on. I said, they're not going to arrest me. I got on a mask. I walk in there, and I couldn't take a few steps before people start recognizing me. People start talking about cars, and, hey, I follow you. I love you. I love what you guys are doing. And I said, she was right. So we go through that process. Oftentimes I'm in Home Depot or Lowe's, and someone recognizes me, and they'll ask me questions. I can be out at a restaurant in the Houston, greater Houston area, and people recognize me and go from there. And so that's one side of it. The other side of it is sometimes individuals that I've hired, or they'll say, why it has to be all about you? Because my face is all over the internet. There's a little icon there. If you follow City Classic Cars, it's probably my smiling face right now. If you come to the shop, my gate is lined with pictures of my face smiling. Somebody say he going somewhere with this, y'all. He going somewhere. See, many years ago, I've always owned City Classic cars. I started it at the back of my back pocket. I started this multi-million-dollar brand with a few dollars in my pocket. That's how it started. But many people didn't know it was me. They didn't know I owned it. They didn't know that I was the resident builder. Because my build process is, let's just build a car, get the car done, and we all get credit. It's not about me, it's about what we can do together. That's really the secret sauce. That's the brand of City Classic Cars. It's not about Sabra Johnson and what Sabra Johnson has done. It's about what we can do collectively. But I said I'm going somewhere with this. About 3 years ago, I was at a Vintage Air conference, and this customer was just outraged, just started going really ridiculous. And he went from being nice to being really ridiculous. I said, what in the world happened? That's on the backside of, as we continue to grow and continue to expand, our customer experience would be going one way, and on a dime it would shift, and we never knew what it was. At that time, the icon on the social media was City Classic Cars. It wasn't my face. At that time, you could not come to the shop and see my face. And I was at a Vintage Air conference, and as I processed and prayed that night, I said, Lord, I just don't understand. Where did we break down on the quality experience? Where did we have a breakdown in production? Where did we have a misunderstanding of what took place? And the Lord showed me, when you called that customer, you told him you was the owner. When you tried to offer that client a personal experience, and you told him your name and who you were and that you would own them. We began to analyze it and process it. And the problem that happened is that there was some in the classic car community that wanted to take their car to a white-owned hot rod shop. The other thing I want you to understand is, not that there are not other black-owned or minority-owned or Hispanic-owned or Asian shops in the city. When you start talking about the who's who of hot rod shops, City Classic Cars is in that name. When you start talking about the who's who, that's the fourth largest city in the nation, who's the best and who does this, undisputably, City Classic Cars is in that name. So then when you ask yourself, when is the last time a black-owned shop in a major city has been in the who's who of builders? It just doesn't happen. You go to SEMA, you look at the Battle of the Builders, there's one black dude on there. Normally it's me. I said, I don't want your business if you don't want to do business with me. And so I made a campaign at that time to put my face on all social media communication points. I did not want to do it. I did not desire to do it. But I said they must know before they pay one dime who they're doing business with. So my face went on every source of media. Why? It's a duality of experience. Now, what white builder would do that? What white builder would put their face on their social feed, not to rise their personal brand, but to do that so that the customers would know that they are white? I did that so the consumer would know I was black. That's just a reality, man. So all over the campus, you see my face. Videos. It was time I didn't even do videos. I let other guys do it. But I do all the videos now. Is it because it's all about me? Hey, I just want you to know who you're doing business with, so there's no confusion. There's a duality of experience. And here I am, a black man in business, a multi-million-dollar shop. If you look at it from size of staff, I'm just as big as the biggest. You look at it for scope of space, I'm just as big as the biggest. You look at it from volume of projects, just as big as the biggest. contract, however you want to look at it. But people look at me as a builder and they see something different. Staying with that Vintage Air Conference. And Jack is great, and Rick love a lot, and we've had personal communication. Man, it's so welcoming. And Ronnie, my main man over there, a lot of good people over there, and I have personal relationships with them. Even Jack's wife, real sweet. Anyway, so this conversation is not about them. So we're at a hotel, downtown San Antonio. We're going out to the Vintage Air campus. So I get in, and I'm one of the biggest builders in the van. Don't look like it, but I'm one of the biggest builders in that van. So I sit down, and someone was aware of my work and said, oh, man, he's a builder. So this guy sitting next to me, happened to be white. First thing he said, what you build? You build like Cadillacs and Lincolns, cars low to the ground with that candy paint on there. I said, yeah, let me show you what I build, partner. I pulled out that phone. I said, what about that Cadillac? What about that one? They had LS's in them. No candy paint. What about that 67 Camaro right there? What about that 37 Roadster right there? What about that one? What about that Vintage Air in there? Can you do that? What about the way we drop that dash down and put them louvers in there? Let me see yours, partner. He was shocked. Well, why? Because I'm black, I don't do candy paint. I got candy paint. I don't do it as a regular basis. I got candy paint on the car. I had a employee. He said, hey, I know that's a black man car. I said, why would you say that? Look at that candy paint. That's a brother car. I said, that's a white dude car. He's just a vanilla as ice cream, matter of fact. That's his car. Why? Why would I do candy paint, low riders, elbow, swanger? I don't do that mess, man. I don't drive it. I don't buy it. I don't support it. I don't do it. But to everybody else, that's the swanger car builder. I never put swangers on a car in my life. Now, I'm not knocking someone who does that. Am I going somewhere? Am I helping you? I'm just talking about the unique experience. So I sit at the table. There's another builder there out of Alabama. Good guy. I don't know his name, but he was a builder there. And we were sitting eating. Jack was right across from us. And we talked about what to put on a car. He was talking. Really, I was just eating my meal. Jack was right across from him. Jack may not even remember this. And that's the owner of Vintage Air. And the builder out of Alabama says he only had 1 or 2 cars. And he was trying to figure out what to do to underbody with. Lizard skin and all these options, and he didn't know what to do. And Jack said, what you think, Sabra? He does a lot of them. And I told him about the Raptor. I told him about the color match properties of it. I told him that I used to use the lizard skin. And what I found with the lizard skin, if there was a difference, it was minuscule. It was a marginal difference. It was a marginal greatness. But when you start talking about the cost of it and the application process of the lizard skin, it's a lot involved to put the lizard skin on, and you get a marginal benefit, if any, and then you got to charge the customer almost $1,500, $1,800 to take their car through that process, if not more. I said, I think that's a bit much. When you could take the same paint coat that you're painting in the booth, and you take that paint and you pour a little bit in the Raptor that changes colors. You pour a little bit of it in that, you shake it all up, and you spray it on there. There's going to be a protective element under the underbody of the fender of the car, whatever you have going on. It's going to be an exact color match to the body of the car. It's going to give you that show feel to it. Then you come back with some hush mat, some dynamat, some type of sound deadening sticker product that you put on the floor of the car. I said, man, if you put that down, I don't think you would notice any major difference. I said, now, all things being equal, you got to do your right craftsmanship, make sure your fabrication is right, make sure your panels are lined right, make sure everything is, snug, tight, you got new body mounts and all that kind of stuff. He said, oh, thank you for that information. Just, here I am on a Vintage Air trip, and I had 2 experiences. I had the experience of car builders talking with car builders. Car builders interacting with car builders without stigma and stereotype. But then I had another experience, duality of experience. Another experience where it's older, not saying that the age mattered, but the fact is one was older and one was younger. And I did candy paint, elbows and Lincolns, and I don't even do that. so a duality of experience. Why did I have that experience? Now, I told you I have a multi-million-dollar business. My mother might be happy if I went out of business. Why? She's terrified of me being in business. Why? Because I'm black. I'm black. I'm brash. I don't take a whole lot from nobody. I don't care what you wear. Red, blue. It don't matter to me. I ain't going to take nothing off nobody. So sometimes her motherly instincts are concerned. But why would she be concerned? Now, if you're listening and you're white, can you imagine being afraid for your child operating a multi-million-dollar business? Would you imagine being afraid? Well, in my own business, I've been arrested twice from my own business at the hands of a word unfounded from two former white employees. One of them, I was arrested, broadcast all on the news. And I'm not angry. I get it. I understand the duality of experience. I understand that when you're black and you rise up and you say you're going to be great, you know what you're up against. Now, funny thing about it, 90% of my employees are non-black. 90% of my employees are non-black. Oftentimes, the only black employee I have is me. That's a concern for two reasons. One, some of the black guys and gals are afraid to come into this automotive industry of high-end restoration because they've never been given ground-level jobs to do it. They've never been hired by white shops. White shops do not hire black techs. Now just think about that. Just think, they don't hire black people. But they will hire someone white that don't know what they're doing, never did it before, but they got the right tattoo on their arm and walk with a swagger. Don't know what they're doing. Don't know up from down, left from right. And so you have blacks that won't even work for me. They're afraid to even apply to work on a $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 car. Never worked on a $300,000 or $400,000 car. Never painted a $50,000 car. Never put a LS9, not just the LS9, but all the works, all the bells and whistles in an automotive experience. Never had the opportunity to do that, where the backer says, and if you're wrong, and if you make a mistake, I can afford it. You're not going to be fired. Scared, timid. I've been arrested twice. First time I got arrested, as soon as I got there, I called my lawyer, bonded myself out, had to pay the bond, and another staffer. Bonded out. Subject to all kinds of BS, all kinds of stereotypes, all kinds of this, that, and the other. Same thing George Floyd is going through. Well, he did commit a crime. He did. Man, they killed a man right there, lynched him in broad daylight. So here I was arrested, released from that experience. The very next day, maybe a few days later, that was right around my birthday. Stay with me now. Stay with me. Right around my birthday, I said. And my lawyer, first time he meets with the DA, he gives the DA evidence to exonerate me. He says, now here's the way it works if you know anything about the law. Even if you get off, normally you're going to be indicted because it's just a formality. Because they certainly wouldn't arrest you without probable cause. And you know the news wouldn't put your face on there if it wasn't the truth. And you know all these people on social media wouldn't talk about you if it wasn't the truth. And so here it is. I'm going through this experience. Why? Because I own the shop and I fired the dude. I fired him. But not only did we fire him, the backstory was Carol, the lady in the office, Social Security sent some information. Apparently the person was on disability, the real culprit. All we did was submit the documents back that this person does work here, and we informed the individual, terminated individual. It was a problem. Because if you disabled, you know you can't work over here. And you can't work over here and get a government check too. But arrested. Sam Knight, great lawyer. Sam Knight goes right in there, he said, I got evidence that no crime was committed. I got evidence that this is false. DA said, yeah, right. He passed him the evidence, and the DA said, oh, I just got to confirm it. Man, you don't have to confirm that. It's black and white. But it took him 4 months to confirm it. 4 months. 4 months. Oh, and guess how he confirmed it? He made a phone call. That's all he did. So for 4 months, now look here. Not talking about Sam. I paid $10,000 to Sam, roughly. I ain't talking about Sam, but you need to come back and let me build your car, get some of that money back. But here's another story. But you talking about 10 grand now. What if I ain't had a 10 grand? What if I couldn't get a top defense lawyer? Paid him 10 grand. Not only paid him 10 grand, had to bond out. Not only had to bond out, had to go down there to court multiple, at least once a month. And then, you know, they just reset it. Why are you resetting something when you have the evidence that is not true? So then it's on the Houston Chronicle, all over, maybe it was the television station. So the television station had to report there. They didn't change it. All of that went on for 4 months because I was black and in business. People need to hear this thing now. Y'all need to understand that there is a, black folks need to understand it, white folks need to understand it, Mexican folks, everybody need to understand it. Now, if I was Asian and we want to group everybody with the black experience, we want to group Mexicans, Asians, LGBT. Hey, if I was gay, they wouldn't have took me to prison. They wouldn't have took me to jail if I was gay. They wouldn't have took me if I was Asian. They took me because I was black and my accuser was white. 4 months. So then we called the news. Once soon as they dismissed it. Never was even indicted. Soon as it was dismissed, the very next thing Sam did was call the news and say, pull it down. They said, okay, it's been dismissed. Oh, we see, yeah, we'll pull it down. They didn't rerun the story. They didn't say, hey, we're sorry to report this was false and this was this and it was that. Sam Knight told the prosecutor, why don't you prosecute the one who lied on Mr. Johnson? Why don't you prosecute him not only for Social Security fraud, why don't you prosecute him for defaming this man's business in this way and giving a false report? Did you think that happened? No. Do you think the television station that was so quick to run that report, do you think they called me to run a new report? No. Do you think that's an isolated incident? No. So I had a business on 1960, located to another shop. This is the same stuff. Located to another shop. The manager was white, and all the staff in there was white. My shop right next door. We shared a back alley. Back alley now. The people called the police on me because I wanted access to my business through my back alley. It's a common space there. The people called the police on me for wanting access to my... Now, some of those who are black in America, you saying, that's right, man, I understand. But then there's some that are listening that are white, that are Hispanic. You trying to find out what I did, because you know that can't happen. It's a duality of experience. Why would you put stock manifolds on one side and ceramic headers on the other side? Who would do that? So I understand your position of saying that did not happen, that could not happen. That did happen. Not only that, there's time we bring cars in and unload them. Now we go through that back alley at that shop. I got to park the car, open the gate, unload the car. Now they doing brake jobs, oil change, all that stuff. Do you understand that they call the police because they had just finished the brake job and couldn't come out the back when they had a front. The police gets there and says, really? You called us for this? So then he gives us a little speech. Y'all trying to work together. Y'all trying to do that. I looked at him. Man, I'm black. They called the police on me. I didn't call the police on them. This is real stuff, y'all. Y'all need to understand this. Real, live stuff that takes place. Okay, so now I'm at my new shop. Every shop owner in America has a process of exiting out. Not only does a shop, most major company has an exit procedure, right? They have an exit process. You expect a big company to put that stuff in black and white in the form of a handbook, give you those things so you know it's black and white, and the employees are aware so they're not changing the rules from you on the back end. You wouldn't expect a shop to have that. Oh, I got a handbook. I got policies. Oh, you have to go through an intake process to work for me. Why? Because I already know I'm black and in America, and there's a duality of experience. Somewhere around policy number 29, it says exit process. And it says you exit at the close of business. If you want to pick up your tools, you desire not to work here anymore, it's fine. Pick up your tools at 6. Now, why do I do that? Is it because I want the person's tools? I want your Snap-on box? No. We're a full-service restoration center. Most guys' boxes are, they come on flatbed trucks. They take up major pieces of real estate in the shop, which means you're going to have to move cars to allow access for that box to come out. So if you're in employment with me, it seems reasonable that you give us some time, or whether it's an hour or 30 minutes. You could quit at 5:50 and we'll do it. But if you're fired that morning, or if you quit that morning, we just ask you to come back that evening. And we'll stay and we'll help you load and we'll be friendly. Hey, I've had a lot of employees in my days. A lot of staff people. I'm like Richard Rollins. He says the more you grow and the more you expand, you have to expect staff turnover in this business. You have personal burnout and you have jealousy. Personal burnout and jealousy is the root reason why you have to keep changing staff. Richard talks about that in one of his books. But good stuff. Listen, I've probably had this happen where the police was called at least 12 times by former employees. Come up there, I want to get my tools now. And I said, well, no, you can get them at 6. I'm not going to do it. I said, well, you know you ain't going to come up in my shop. So I don't know what you're going to do, but you're not going to walk up in here. So some of them will call the police. When the police come, guess what the police say? Hey, it's a civil matter. It's between you and the shop owner. The shop owner has given you a reasonable time to collect your tools. And now I've had white officers say that, Hispanic officers say that, Asian officers say that, black. It's like a formality. And it goes so far that we tell the individuals, hey, man, that's not what you want to do, because when you call the police going to come up here. If you're acting disruptively, we're going to give you a no trespass, and then you're still not going to be able to get your stuff to 6 o'clock. Don't do that. That's how it happens all the time. But there are 2 other experiences where it happened differently. One time I was not there, and Carol, who's the general manager of the shop, they said she didn't have care and custody. That's the legal term. The person who has care and custody of a property is the one who gets to decide the rules and the regulations and what takes place. You know, the manager, the GM, the owner, that type of thing. So they told Carol she didn't have care and custody because I wasn't there. Now, if you know anything about care and custody, the property owner is the one who has care and custody as a property owner. If someone leases your property, you pass that off to them. If you don't lease it, you retain it. If you hire a staff person, this is my ranch. I have care and custody, my wife and I. If we're not here, my ranch manager got care and custody. It's just the way it works. And so they told her that she didn't have care and custody. She didn't have a right to make a decision as it pertained to the business. Now, I got to be lying. No, I'm not. This is the duality of experience that we're talking about. So now, it comes again. Young man worked for me 2 days. 2 days, older guy really, but worked for me 2 days. And was horrible. Horrible, dangerously horrible. As a builder, I build a lot of cars, so I have to have staff. You can't do all this stuff yourself. You have to have staff. And I don't know what a guy can do. You got to throw him in the ring and see what he got. Well, it didn't take me long. At the end of that first day, I said, man, either you had a real bad day or you horrible, brother. Then the next day, I gave him my little pep talk. I said, hey, man, I'm going to do something the devil won't do. If you come in here and do this same thing tomorrow, I'm going to leave you alone, get you up out of here. And, you know, just real plain kind of talking. He come back the next day, give him an hour. Hey, man, thank you. It's been good. You fired. He says, okay. So come back at 6. Get your tools. You know the routine. He said, yeah, I know, sir. I'll be back at 6. I said, no problem. He leaves. He comes back at 4 o'clock. Everybody's working. And I wasn't there, actually, at the time. Carol was there. Gave him the rules. He says he's calling the police. So she calls me. I said, well, I'm just right around the corner. I'll come there. Get there. The police is already there. Now, there ain't no black police there. Okay? One Asian. No, one was Hispanic and one was white. Just like what happened in Minnesota. Not one black police there that we saw. See, it's amazing what happens with perspective. So I go there, and I give the police officer the rules. I go in and get the policy. I say, I've been firm about this. I'm going to stay firm about this. He can get his tools at 6 o'clock. Okay, officer? Well, you have to give him his tools. You can't steal his tools. Why the hell would I steal his tools, officer? I mean, who would even say that? I said, I'm not trying to steal his tools. Then the officer debates with me. You are stealing his tools. I said, oh, my God. I said, this how we're going to do it? I said, let me get on the phone and call the sheriff. I'm not dealing with that. So I go inside, call the sheriff. And you got to hold on line, try to get a sergeant, all that. Couldn't get a sergeant by the time I'm holding on. A sergeant pulls up in the car. I said, oh, good. And they come get me. They say, the sergeant out here wants you. If you ever been in city class cars, there's a pole right there. It's about 20 feet from the door. And it says city class car. So the officer's parked there. They said the officer's looking for me. I expect he's looking for the one with carrying custody, the owner. So I walk to the officer. I get maybe 4 feet. Maybe 4 feet. First thing he did was hit me in the chest. Second thing I did was say, don't put your hands back on me, man. Straight up. That's the first thing. Like, it's finna go down right here in this parking lot. You not gonna put your hands on me, man. Oh, I ain't hit you. I say, you did hit me. What are you talking about? Do not touch me again. Now, well, all right, I said, but let's do this. Since you feel threatened by me for some reason, let's go. Now, this black now. This is how you have to think when you're black in America. I said, in my shop, I got a front counter. And there's a big old front counter. You stand on one side and I stand on the other side. And that way you don't have to hit me in my chest again. Sound fair? He says fair. So I go in there. I stand behind my counter. There's officers on the other side. And the other officer is there. He says, okay, tell me what happened. When he says, tell me what happened, he looks in the air. I thought we were having a conversation. I'm about 10 seconds into what happened. The cop on this side looks at him and motions his way to me. And the cop says, no, don't. The sergeant said, don't do it. And he didn't say don't do it, but you know, with his body language, I'm like, what are they talking about? So I keep telling my story, and the officer keeps sliding. Now, if you ever been in city class cars, you know what that counter looks like. There's an open place where you can just walk around to the back. So he's sliding, getting closer. I'm at the 42nd mall. He's sliding, getting closer. Mr. Johnson, are you telling me today that you're going to steal this man's stuff? I said, what are you talking about? What I'm telling you is my policy is 6 o'clock. I have to move cars for him to get his stuff. And plus, he has my uniforms. There is an exit process. He gives me my property. I give him his property. We move cars out of the way and we help him load. So either you're going to give him his stuff now or you're not. I reach and get my phone. I start recording. I say, you said what? And Officer goes on for another 10 seconds. Mr. Johnson, are you refusing to give this man his personal property? I said, I never told you I refused. And I said this on camera. I said, so why are you putting words in my mouth? I stated he can have every possession that's his. The other officer comes around. I'm in my place of business. Black car builder. He grabs my arms. My phone falls. They arrested me, if you want to know what it looks like. Just like the CNN black-skinned reporter, Omar, in Minnesota. The same way. So he arrested me. I said, man, I told you he can get his stuff. And I mean, if you're going to do all this, I guess we can do it now if that's how you're going to act. Oh, now you're begging me. So then I flipped the switch, begging you. Now you got me mixed up. I don't beg for nothing. I don't beg to be treated humanly. I don't beg for rights. What you got, a police car out there that you think I'm scared of? Let's go. Because I ain't scared of no police car, man. That's the duality of being black in America. Now, white man, that wouldn't happen to a white man. White man would have talked cold, hard trash to the police officer. They wouldn't put his hands on him. So they put me in the back of the police car. Everybody in the community driving by watching me. Now, this is the second time I've been humiliated. Now, it's already hard enough being black in the car business, and you done portrayed me twice as a criminal. So you march me out in front of my shop in handcuffs, put me in the back of your car, leave me there on Front Street. That's called a perp walk. Leave me out front on Front Street so that everybody driving by slow down and say, ain't that the black dude on the face on the fence? Is that the black dude in there? I'm talking about the duality of experience. And we want to submit to the authorities. But you can't submit to an authority that's provoking you. It's hard to submit to authority that seeks to abuse you. It is hard to submit to authority that refuses to apply the Constitution and the laws to your life. So I sit there, and by that time the GM had left. She didn't think it turned bad like that. So she comes back. They call her and say they arrested the owner. She comes back and says, why is that man in your car? What are you holding him on? They never tell her. So then she called my attorney. She called the attorney, and I think it was Sam, I think it was you again. So she called Sam. Sam said, why are y'all holding him? What's the deal? Now, what am I doing? Am I cussing and fussing? No, I'm praying to the power of the Holy Spirit. I'm in that car and saying, Lord, you are a victor, and this is wrong. I ask that you show up and you show out at this instance. Jesus was crucified on the cross. They buried him and they put a rock in front of it. But you removed the rock, got him up out of the grave, and he ascended it. Now that's what I'm doing in now. See? But the stereotype is, there'll go another hoodlum. Now what would have happened if it was dark? What would have happened if it was at night? What would have happened if there was no witnesses around, even in my case? What would have happened if the telephone wasn't going? So then the police told me to get out the car. He opened the door and get out the car. I said, wait a minute. You walked me out my business with handcuffs. You put me in the car trying to retaliate and stoke fear in my heart. I said, just go ahead and drive me downtown so we can finish this false arrest. I need a few more dollars anyway. Why would I get out? You put me in here. Then his next statement was, Mr. Johnson, if you don't get out, I'm going to arrest you. Wait a minute now. If I don't get out the car, you're going to keep me in the car. That, it sounds comical, and I said in that way to show some levity, but these are the type of things, the duality of experience that we have to deal with. Now that's just cars. Anyway, there's a dealer. I won't call the dealer's name. Dealer asked me to build him a car. So I come out and shows me all around the dealership, all that kind of stuff. Sees their car collection. I do a rendering. And we do a rendering for him. We meet up and see. Anyway, we just spent a lot of time negotiating on this deal. So he asked me to come to the car show. Now, those who know me, I don't really go. I don't go. Now, that's sad, but I don't go. I got my reasons for not going. I can talk about that in a moment. But I don't really go to too many little small local shows and all that. I just don't do it. Why? Because it ain't fair. It ain't fair game. I went to Nifty 50s. And the guy that starts that also represents XL Parts. I know him. So I went over and spoke to him. When I go over to him, they asked me what I'm doing. What you mean what I'm doing? So then my daughter's with me, and I got plenty of cars. Plenty of cars. We ain't got to be impressed by nobody else's car. I got plenty of them. I own the titles and everything. So anyway, we get close to a car. We ain't even touch it. No, don't touch it. Don't touch it. That's how the lady talked to my daughter. Don't touch it. Like the car too good for it. I just had on some regular clothes. Car too good for it. I look. And she's like, Daddy, I wasn't going to touch it. I was just looking. I said, who built that car, young lady? Huh? I said, who built it? I own city classic cars. I build them every day of the week. Who built that? And then her energy changed. Don't change now. So I go to this car show. They have at the dealership. I was out of town, flew back in. As soon as I get back, I go out there. Even bought a car from the dealer. So I get there, and there's all kind of car people there. Some people recognize me. And there's a group of black car guys there. They probably had, well, I don't know, they probably had $1 million worth of cars or $1.5 million. And it was only like 4 or 5 of them. You know, really high-end cars that, a lot of craftsmanship, a lot of creativity, a lot of energy. They're amazing. One guy there, I can't think of his name, had a Corvette. He probably had, well, I don't know, I think it was C7. Might have been C6. And he probably had $60,000 in customs in it, you know? Just real, I mean, just really tricked out. And then they had some classics and all that. This little group. So then I go around, meet everybody, eat some hot dogs, that type of thing. Then they're doing the finals, the top 5 cars or something like that they did. And in the finals, it's such and such and such and such and such and such. And I wasn't really paying much attention. These black guys start fuming. I told you they was going to do it. I told you it was going to happen. Man, I'm tired of this. Why we got to go? Why did we even come? I'm tired of this. You know your car better than his car. His car don't have nothing but a blow on it. I mean, look at the car. The paint jacked up. The rims jacked up. There's no interior in it, and he just got a blow on top. Like, who can't put a blow on a car? How do they? And they're just fussing and that. So now here I am, the duality of experience. Now I got to calm them down. Hey, man, you got a beautiful car. Hey, man, relax. You know your car is beautiful. Did you build your car for them, or did you build your car for you? Did you build your car for a trophy, or did you build your car to enjoy? So I got to be Dr. Phil. Why? Now, the truth of the matter, in my personal opinion, because that's all a car show is, somebody's opinion. In my opinion, one of those cars should have been there a minimum of 1. A minimum of 1, if not 2 or 3. The cars that were up there were horrible. Cars that were up there, they knew the folks. The cars that was up there, the judges was white, and the people who was up there was white. Even at a car show. I see this duality of experience, and it's troubling. I see it at SEMA. I love SEMA, but it's troubling. I'm a member of a SEMA PAC. That's a political action committee. And I do a lot of things in SEMA. I don't go to the SEMA show, but, I mean, I don't just do that. But I get in the Battle of the Builders. I'm a part of the political action committee. I'm a SEMA mentor. I'm on the ARMO committee. I give money to causes. I advocate on behalf of the legislator with SEMA as it pertains to projects and initiatives in the aftermarket. I found myself in a PAC meeting where, I don't know, I could say it's the who's who of SEMA. Probably only 50 people in there, and, that type of thing. And there's one black boy in there. So they're drinking, they're having fun, and the new chairman at that time talks about how SEMA is powerful, and when you go to Washington, D.C., that SEMA opens doors for you. And everybody's like, yeah, it's like SEMA opens doors. So the man standing right beside me is in the SEMA Hall of Fame. Just got put in there anyway, not that long ago. But I guess he didn't know me. He said, yeah, but not for the black man. White people are standing around me. I gave him a second. Ain't nobody say nothing. I guess I was the only one who heard it. See, that's what King talks about. That silence of good white folks. So they stood around. And I think some of them were uncomfortable. Nobody said anything. So I turned around. I squared him up. What you said? And he shook and got, what you thought I was going to do? What make you think you can say that in my presence and there's not going to be a response? These are the things that we see, and I'm not bashing the automotive industry. I love it. Automotive industry has been good to me. Some of the biggest cars I've built owned by great white families. When these families come, they know I'm black. They understand that I'm the builder, and they're okay with that. A lot of good folk, man. Lot of good folk. And this duality am I helping you? This duality has to stop. So now let's go on the horse side of things, on the equestrian side of things. My ranch tax rose $2 million. Now that's my tax roll. So a pretty sizable, pretty major investment. And my tax is a whole lot of money. Anyway, that's a whole nother, they too high. So, but it's not because I'm black. They just high, man. So anyway, here I am. And some of you have been out here to parties at the ranch and things of that nature. And I started opening it up to clients. Because a lot of times I don't have opportunity to interact with clients. And so I said I want to invite clients out so I can interact with them and meet them in a social setting. It's not always building cars. I'm pretty intense at the shop. I don't have a long time for small talk. I'm always in the shop trying to push a car to the end. And so I invited them out and even invited out a few fans. And now here I am in this, where my ranch is a huge ranching community anyway. And all cars were parked on my property, a little under 20 acres. And all cars parked there on site. And the association sent me a letter saying that I'm charging for events at my house. I'm charging for events. Now, they didn't have a ticket. They didn't have anything that said I was charging. But I guess the level of police and valet parking and all of that, certainly the black man can't pay for that. Black man can't afford that. Anybody been here, you know you haven't paid one dime. The bar is free and open. The chefs are working, and you don't pay them anything. You don't pay for a plate of food. There's live music. You don't pay for anything. There's valet parking. You don't even have to tip them. There's police officers here, and the question and the debate was, am I charging? And I asked them, why would you even think such? How could that question come up when everyone out here has parties? Big deal. Another client came to a party and said, why is the police here? And I knew where she was coming from. Why is the police here? And I think that was a kid's party, huh? My daughters had a birthday party, and I invited their friends from school, you know, that type of thing. Now, one at that time was turning 14, the other one was turning 7. They had a dual birthday party. I had the police here, 2 police officers, paying them almost $40 an hour for 5-hour minimum, both of them, $80 an hour, 5 people, that's $400. Easy mathematics. Why? It's the duality of experience. I know I'm black. I never have a function at my house and I don't have the officers. Why? Because you don't have to call the police if I already got the police. It's unthinkable that would happen. But I always have Magnolia Police at my Montgomery County. I always have Montgomery County Police at my ranch whenever we have a function. We always show them the greatest respect. Sometimes the white officers, black officers, Hispanic officers, the officers, when they come here, they always show the highest respect. The highest respect. Is a prestigious area, prestigious property. They always show the highest respect. And some of my black guests are shocked that the white police are so nice. They're absolutely shocked. And some of my white guests are shocked. Why would they have the police there? Another illustration of this duality. One of my bar managers is black. And he got old beat down car. You know, he got old beat down car now. And he was arrested in my driveway. He was not only, he had the code to come in the gate. He had the right to come in the gate. Now, I believe he looked like he didn't belong. Paper tag, beat down car, pulling up to this property and stops at the gate. He couldn't even get the code in for the police put the lights on him. Not only did the police put the lights on him in my driveway, they also arrested him and for suspicion of drugs. You know, he had so much marijuana. I forgot how much it was. It was alfalfa. Yeah. Alfalfa. Now, horse feed. You know, you wouldn't. Now, you know they didn't arrest the man under the suspicion of marijuana for horse feed. Now, did he end up having a warrant? I think he did have a warrant for something. And I think traffic ticket or something. Anyway, they did take him down. But that's what it's like, man, the duality of experience. He was coming to work, pulled up to this property, and beat down car, and he had alfalfa in his car. They took him into jail on suspicion of marijuana. How you don't know it's alfalfa? Now, that sounds strange, but that's the truth. Now, he gets out that same night. First thing I tell him is, man, go buy you a truck. Go buy you something decent to drive in. Because, man, you cannot be riding down the road and look like probable cause. He said, Rev, I didn't do anything, but I shouldn't have to spend all that money on a car. I said, last time I looked in the mirror, you was black as me. That's the duality of this experience. And I can give other illustrations, but that's not what I want to do. And I'm done, and it's not what I do every week, but this is, it's amazing, man. I go to horse auctions. It's the same thing. Not at all of them. Willie Murray, you know who I'm talking about. We can go to the horse auctions, and we be just as gentlemanly. We be real nice. Me and old Willie. Until somebody got to try us. Now it's a problem. You know, I heard Cornel West, great scholar, professor of at Harvard. He said, I'm a thug. I got some bad down here in me, and I'm trying to suppress it every day. I'm kind of like Cornel West. I know what's in here. I just try to say hallelujah 4 or 5 more times and beg your pardon, because I know there's something in there, you know. I'm done with this message. But in this portion, it talks about that they are God's servants. I think it is certainly time for the governmental officials, specifically the police, and for the governmental officials to put legislation in place to demand that the police officers behave as servants of their people. And if they do not behave as servants of their people, but oppressors of their people, there should be legislation in place that deals with them swift and quickly. You know, the Bible says over there in James 4:3, it says, when we ask, we have not, we receive not because we ask amiss. So we need to know what to pray for. And part of the prayer is that God will move upon the hearts of the legislators, because we have to have laws in place to prevent this. And that God will intervene with some of the stronghold power these unions have, that a bad cop can stay on the beat forever. When I got arrested, put in falsely, when they put handcuffs on you, you've been arrested, for those of y'all who don't know. The reason I got out of the car, my lawyer said, Mr. Johnson, they've already false arrested you. You don't have to go all the way downtown to get booked. It's the same thing. When they put handcuffs on you and put you in the car, you've been arrested. So get on out. So I got out the car. But I filed with Cornell X, went and filed a grievance with Internal Affairs. So first I called, and they give you this long process of how you have to file a grievance. And in 2020, it's a long process. You can't even do it online. Long process. So then I go down, and I have to be interviewed. So you go down there, and I sat there maybe an hour. Then when I sat there, they made me put whatever I had, my cell phone, in a box. And then you go to what looks like an interrogation room. And then you sit there with an officer for about an hour, hour and a half, and it feels like he interrogating you about what you went through. And that's the process. And then they don't give you any information of what the outcome is. They put it in the file, and that's the same thing that happened to this officer in Minnesota. He had 18 or 19 complaints lodged against him. What I want you to understand about a complaint, that wasn't someone picking up the phone and saying, I don't like this officer, he pushed me, y'all. No, this is someone that took time out of their day, went down to the police department, put their personal items in a container, went and sat at a desk across from an officer. You mean they did that 19 times in his situation? 18 times in his situation, and nothing happened? Nothing happened till it got to the point where he killed that guy. That's wrong. So the prayer is what? Number one, we want God to move in the legislature that holds police officers accountable. That's the number one thing that we need. Number two, we need integrated spiritual ministry opportunities and church gatherings. The all-black church, the all-white church, hey, y'all stop all that. That's how it leads to this. You don't work together. You don't live together. You don't go to the same bars and clubs, and you don't even go to the same church. So how are you going to have an understanding of one another if you don't interact with one another? And it has to start with the believers. So those believers out there that are looking for a church, or just find a way to network amongst yourselves. Whether you have a Bible study in your house, y'all need a preacher to come teach, call me, I'll come over there. But I don't care if you meet in your house, but make sure it's cross-cultural. Make sure you got somebody black there, somebody white there, somebody Hispanic there, and put somebody LGBT there. Keep it diverse, because Christ is what binds us together. So we have to, one, change our legislator, and two, we have to modify our Christology. I am very concerned that the church has no power. I'm very concerned. I mean, giving the preachers all this money, and just for some of y'all try to get caught, I don't get paid from the church. I donate to the church. I don't get paid. 6 figures every year. So I just somebody say something. I just want you to know that, just if you need some more information. And I don't take a check. I don't take anything. And we give into the church. We really do. Now, let's move forward one more. This is a concern that we're running, and with 10,000 and 20,000 and some of the largest churches in this country. Ooh, I go to the big. Well, why the big church can't help you now? That is a problem. Now, so now the first one I said is legislative change. We're petitioning to heaven for the laws to change so that the legislator can hold these officers accountable. Okay, so that's one. The second prayer petition, if you join me in this, is that we mingle amongst ourselves, that we find small group gatherings. And it's going to take a lot of my white brothers willing to do it. See, whenever I go places, a lot of times I'm the minority. A lot of times I'm the minority when we go places. But white folks have to start being willing to be the minority. You have to start being willing to be uncomfortable. You have to put yourself in a setting where you're the only one there and the rest of them black, the rest of them Asian, The rest of them LGBT. You have to put yourself, well, I don't like that type of music. Well, won't you deal with it? There's a whole lot of stuff I don't like either. But these settings, I looked at SEMA's mentorship when I first decided to do it. They were all white. They were all white. You mean everyone is white, and there's not one black person in SEMA? Now, there ain't one on the SEMA board. At that time, I didn't see one on SEMA councils. I didn't see the highest levels of executive staff that was black. And I didn't see mentorship that was black. I say, no. I'm a number one. I'm a volunteer to serve as a mentor. I got an email the other day. Someone said, hey, I want you to teach me how to do it. I want to serve. I want you to help me. I think you can help me. But I didn't see anybody in mentorship. Secondly, when there were SEMA rallies, I didn't see anybody black there. So I paid out of my own pocket to get on a plane, to fly to Washington, D.C., pay for my own hotel. SEMA don't pay for that stuff. Go into the legislature and not talk about my issues, talk about other folks' issues. But that needed to take place. And thanks SEMA for all the great work they're doing. But we have to be willing to be uncomfortable. That room that I was in, there was the only black one in there. Not one black person was in there. And that person who said that was a white Hall of Famer. I've already called him out on it personally and that type of stuff. But won't you come in the room where all the black folk at? That has to happen. So I'm talking about those small groups there when I talk about two, and stop running to churches that look like what your neighborhood look like, what your co-workers look like, and what your family look like. I mean, Jesus is Jesus. He died for everybody. And all blood bleeds red. The third one is hold these mass worship cathedrals accountable. Joel Osteen, where you at? I'm going to call you out, man. Here you get on your helicopter or get in your private jet and fly your butt to Minnesota and get off and get command a microphone and speak faith to these people. Now with that stated, he could have already done that. But I haven't seen notice of that. And the Bible tells us, compel the people. That's what the word said. Compel the people. Now, come on, where the big time preachers at? Come on, you got finances behind you. You got private jets behind you. You don't have to go to no airport. You go to the Hooks Airport, man. Drive your limousine, go through the gate, drive them right to your steps, walk right up those steps, get on that plane and go. I don't really speak against preachers now, but I'm tired of it, man. I'm tired of this. You want the rapper, what's his name, Killer Mike. You want the rapper to be a prophetic voice. That's a shame, man. And I'm not knocking him for what he's doing. That's a shame. Steven Jackson, one of the most highest profile person ever. He wasn't Kobe Bryant or LeBron James. They said a superstar in the NBA. He wasn't no superstar. He was a good ball player with a bad record. He was in the Palace Massacre in Detroit with Ron Artest and all that stuff. And so, where the rest of, but I'm not calling on LeBron James. I ain't calling on Beyonce and Jay-Z. That ain't really my call. I'm calling on every big name preacher. Now, if you can be on the television channel because you paying for it, well, won't you use your airtime to talk about this? Joe Osteen on every network. Church full of black folk. Black folk done built the church. Let's tell the truth, because why? We've been trained, black folk. We know when we go to church, you got to put some money in. We know that. Church is a third black. You wear that as a battle cry. Oh, we're a third black, we're a third Hispanic, we're a third white. Well, why don't you get your third self out there and you speak on this issue? Ed Young, where you at? You got churches in every part of the city. You come to church in a chauffeured Escalade. Get that chauffeured Escalade to drive you to the hood. Ed Young Jr., where you at? Carrie Shook, where you at? Carrie Shook got a mega church in the Woodlands. You talking about, y'all got me started. You talking about mega church in the Woodlands. You know, they say it's the anointing. Mega church in the Woodlands. Your daddy had Champions Church. Your brother got City of Community of Faith. Come on, 3 mega churches in one city. Where y'all at? Got all these folk running to the Woodlands. White folk, black folk, worshiping. Hallelujah. Praise the Lord. The man, folk put a foot on the man's neck and the man said he couldn't breathe. And the man is from this city. And I've seen none of y'all rise up. Now you want the little preacher like me got to do it. Now Jay-Z got to do it. Or Beyonce. No, you do it, preacher. You rise up, pastor. Why don't the deacon board, of the smaller church, why don't the church executive board, why don't y'all rise up, make a decree, make a decision? I think it's a shame that this is going on, and church is not saying that. I'm going to call you out, man. It's wrong. Black ones too. Ralph West, where you at? Now, you got access to a plane and a helicopter. When I say where are you, I'm not saying you're not doing anything. I'm saying your voice has not been heard loud enough. Get up and do something. Take personal responsibility as the church. We don't use faith to get a bigger car and a bigger house. Come on, man, and a TV show. What that's going to do? You can't take the TV show with you to heaven. And Houston is this church, this place of major preachers. Well, where y'all at? I don't see you. You should dominate the news. You should dominate it. And I'm tired of it. And evangelicals, you run into the defense of Trump, run to the defense of Christ. I'm tired of it. You're first one to vote. Jeffrey's out of Dallas. Oh, the president gonna watch me today. What a great. Well, what about that man knee on the man's neck? Won't you raise up and talk about that? It is wrong. It is not of God. Let me tell you something. God gonna deal with you too. You better know it. I bet you he deal with you. You are not gonna be having the pageantry of worship and not do ministry. The ministry of this hour, every preacher, and stay with me now. I got friends that got 50 members, man. They can't pay the light bill. They can't pay the water bill in the church. I mean, preacher can't get his shirt clean. Why put all the emphasis on him or her? They don't have but an influence of 50 people. I ain't seen T.D. Jakes. Where you at? Now, when you get a new movie come out, everybody know. When you got Mega Fest, you want everybody to come. Well, where you at? Now, somebody going to argue and say, well, you don't know. T.D. Jakes went down the neighborhood and he did something. No. Jesus said compel. You need to take over CNN. You need to take over Fox News. You need to take over MSNBC. You know, great mentor of mine, old Dr. C.L. Jackson. I guarantee you, if he was still living, he'd be on Fox right now talking that trash. He'd be on Fox telling the truth, man. Be telling the truth. Be getting them the business right now. Where y'all at? You cannot have a church with that level of following and you gonna sit down in your mansion that the church paid for. Creflo Dollar, where you at? Folk burning down Atlanta. Where you at? In the jacuzzi somewhere. Hey, where's Creflo Dollar? And I'm not trying to beat you up. I'm trying to call you out, man. That's how we do it. I'm gonna check you right quick. You know, check you, see where you at. You know, in the street they say I'm gonna check you to see where your manhood at. Right now I'm gonna check you to see where your spirituality at. I'm gonna check you to see where your faith is at. Yeah, I mean, you gotta rise up, man. This is old. I'm tired of it. Now watch this. Now watch this. I had 3 points. Now watch this. My last one. Stop going to the church. You're running down that Joel Osteen. How he made you feel good. I bet you feel good with that knee in the back of your neck. Stop running to him. You run into Church of the Woodlands. Running to them for what? Let me tell you something. Back in the 60s, Martin Luther King was preaching. All of the ones who led, they were preachers, man. The meeting started at the church house. When they met down and sat down with the city, it was the pastors that came together that met. And even though there were some white churches, many that were silent, there were even some in the background that had the attorney general's number that would call them. Preachers, y'all ain't doing it right, man. You lost your ministry because you caught up in your worship. And if you want to know why, God let the pandemic shut the church down so he can mobilize you to get out there and do some ministry. Stop all of that. Come, clap. Well, how many songs we going to sing? Now we're going to sit here and listen to you to give me another text. And then I got to put some money in. And what are you going to do? So I'm very concerned. And these are my prayers. My prayers, number one, Lord, change the legislator. And I'm finished. Change the legislator. Number two, Lord, compel black, white, brown, straight, gay, LGBT. Compel uncomfortable circles to come together and sit down, small groups. That's number two. Number three, Lord, I want you to hold the preachers accountable. And Father God, I'm asking that you move by allowing the body to see that their ministry is broken. And that worship alone without ministry ain't nothing but a big old gathering. And that you send them to places not to be simply fed, but to feed. I told Philip, feed these people. He didn't say, Philip, what you want to eat today? We had lobster yesterday. You want filet mignon today? No, Philip, feed those people. So, Father God, I'm certainly praying that you move on this mega church. There's only 1,500 of them in the nation, about 1,400, something like that, according to Scott Thuma. But you compel all the attention. There's over 340,000 churches in America, but that 1,500 compels. Judah Smith, where you at? Craig Rochelle, where you at? All these names and individuals flock to your brands and sit under your authority as if the brand gonna save them. It ain't the brand, baby. It's called the blood. And my last one is these black entertainers. That's number 4. Lord, galvanize their heart. I'm proud of Jalen Smith. I'm proud of the other basketball player. I'm sorry, I can't call his name right now. Those that went to Atlanta. Jay-Z, where you at? I ain't seen you. You want to be the billionaire and trillionaire? Get out there. Now, when you was out there hustling, you was in them streets. Now get back out there in them streets now and compare that microphone. Beyonce, you shake it good. Go out there and shake it. Compel. Denzel Washington is a great example. He was driving down the road, looked like he had on bedroom shoes, jumped out the car, had one, stood between the police and the individual. That's a picture of what needs to happen in Hollywood. Hollywood needs to stand between the police and the oppressed. Hey, I'm done today. God bless y'all. Take care.